Welcome back to the ABG Investor Days. My name is Johan Brown, a retail analyst here at ABG. I now have the pleasure to welcome Mårten Hellberg, the CEO of OrganoClick, to present. Please go ahead, Mårten.
Thank you, Johan. My name is Mårten Hellberg. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OrganoClick. Today I will go through a little bit about our business in general, but in particular about the development during the first quarter, and also with a focus on the directed share issue that we made last week, generating 70 million SEK in capital for us, and what we will do with this moving ahead. But first, 15 years ago, I met two Swedish researchers, two scientists that were working at the Royal Institute of Technology and Stockholm University, and had since the mid-90s done research in natural chemistries. And why were they doing this? Well, they had realized that this would become a problem. Today, 8 million tons of plastic waste is released into the oceans annually, and hundreds of thousands of toxic chemicals. And what they were really looking at was how can we use natural chemistries in order to solve this problem. You can change the slide. They were doing research in a field called biomimicry. That is, you're looking at, in their case, how natural chemistries are building up structures in plants, in trees, and so on, and in the chemistry behind the tree becoming so strong, or why leaves become water repellent, or why does some trees burn less good than other trees. From this fundamental research, you can change slide, Johan, they really had an ambition and a mission to replace plastics and toxic chemicals with bio-based solutions. And this is still a red line in our mission and OrganoClick's work, and has been so for the last 15 years. Please change. When I met them, they had developed a technology which we call modification of cellulosic fibers. That is, we can, by clicking on organic molecules to the cellulose fibers that are the main component in wood, in paper, textiles, non-woven materials, by clicking on organic molecules, we can change the properties of these materials to make them water repellent, stronger, fire retardant, depending on what type of organic molecule we are clicking on. So it was a very broad core technology that we started from. You can please change the slide. Today, 15 years later, we have developed a range of different products, all originating from this core technology. The first product area that we launched in 2012 was our wood protection technology, where we are replacing heavy metals and toxic biocides that are currently in use in pressure impregnation with natural minerals that we are attaching to the cellulosic fibers and creating a physical barrier in the wood instead of creating a toxic wood. And another area that we are working with is the textile impregnation, where the state of art until now have been to use a chemical group called PFAS, or fluorocarbons, which have been shown to be hormone disruptive and cancerogenic, and are now on the EU phasing out list. And here we have developed a biodegradable solution where we are using completely biodegradable and non-toxic molecules that we are attaching to the fibers. And last but not the least, we have developed technologies which can replace plastic binders in non-woven textiles and in paper-based materials, where we are using biopolymers derived from food waste. So we're using food waste from orange peels, shrimp shells, oat husk, wheat bran, where we are purifying different polymers in the shells and from these plants, and are replacing these plastic polymers that creates the strength in these materials. Please change the slide, Johan. Last year we had revenues of 96.5 million SEK, a growth of 12% from the previous year. Saying that, we were actually affected quite hard by the COVID in the first quarter, where we had zero net growth. In the second quarter we were starting to grow again, but the last two quarters we were growing with around 30%. So we really had a strong growth in the end of the year. Now in the first quarter, we continued with a very good growth of 33% in our segments which have been on the market for quite some time. We were also improving EBITDA again, and now in May we made a directed share issue of 70 million. Can please change slide. Today we're working within 4 different areas. We have the functional wood area, where we are targeting the building sector, working through building supply chains and targeting mainly the professional building sector, like architects, big building companies, and so on. We have our green coatings and maintenance business, where we have a broad product range of maintenance and wood protection products for the building industry, which is, you can say, like an aftermarket to the wood market. But we also have our textile impregnation products for consumers that is sold through retailers like outdoor and sport retailers. In the biocomposite and the non-woven and technical textile area, we are replacing the plastic binders that I mentioned previously with our bio-based binders to create different alternatives to plastic materials. And the strength with our technology is that we can use all our different functional technologies like water repellents, mechanical strength, fire protection, and rot protection in all our different business areas. So from the same technology, we get out a lot of products that are targeting several areas. Please change slide. If we go into the biggest segment so far, the functional wood segments, there, as I mentioned, we are replacing heavy metals and biocides with our natural silicon minerals and also some other minerals that we have been working on for the last 5 years, which I'll come to. We are targeting a large market. More than 700,000 cubic meters of pressure impregnated wood is produced in Sweden only. We last year produced about 10,000 tons, 10,000 cubic meters. So you can imagine that there are quite a lot of market that we have not even reached, even though this is our biggest segment. Please change slide. Looking at the Q1, we had a good growth of almost 40% in these segments, mainly coming from that we launched OrganoWood in the German market during 2020, and now the first year when our distributors have been able to work a little bit more on the market. Last year was really affected by the COVID for them, but this year we really see very strong growth on the German market. But also good growth on the Swedish market, which we are, of course, very happy on, that we are growing on existing customers. One thing that we are really looking forward to, though, is that we are now in a phase of launching our second generation OrganoWood technology. The first generation was launched in 2012, and we have now developed an improved technology, which is both an improvement in terms of the economics when we're producing the wood, but also an improvement in terms of the functionality. We have better properties in everything that we can measure, both the durability, the rot protection, as well as it will reduce the maintenance need for the wood as well. So it becomes much easier for the consumers and for the end customers to use. And here we have invested in a completely an extremely modern drying kiln together with our partner Base Timber, which is producing the wood, and which was installed earlier this year. It was installed during the autumn, but we have now also taken it into production. So we are now just a few weeks away, I think, from launching the products finally. Can you please change the slide, Johan? As I mentioned, our main market here is the professional building market. This is an industrial hotel in Skellefteå that was built last year. The whole facade is made of OrganoWood, and also decking on the roof is made of OrganoWood. Otherwise, we are also very strong in the market towards the public sector, schools, preschools, this type of areas where you want to use non-toxic building materials. This is areas which we are also targeting in Germany, where we have a collaboration now with the distributor called Götz, which is one of the leading distributors in Germany, and they have 11 warehouses all over Germany, and all of these warehouses are now keeping OrganoWood in stock, and their sales force are really working to get into not only the professional building sector, but also the DIY sector in Germany. Can you please change slide, Johan? In our second largest segments today, the green coatings and maintenance business, we have a number of maintenance and wood protection products, as I mentioned. We have OrganoWood under that brand. We are selling a wood protection system to consumers so they can apply it themselves on their decking. The OrganoTex textile impregnation is used for impregnation of clothes, garments, and now also shoes. And the BioClean, there we have a range of maintenance products for cleaning your decking material, cleaning your roof, or cleaning your facade. Please change slide. Also in these segments, we had a good growth in the first quarter. We were growing with 25%. However, in March, we had an extremely strong sales. So we actually hit our production limit. So we had really problems to get out everything that we needed. So in April, we took the decision to go up to a third shift. We have previously been running production here, or the filling of the cans and bottles, in 2 shifts, but now we are running it in 3 shifts, and we are also running on weekends now in order to be able to supply for the demand that we saw. So from March and onwards, we've had really strong sales within this segment. In April, we also launched a new product line for the OrganoTex segment, OrganoTex Shoe Care. Until now, we've been selling products for impregnation of garments and clothes, but actually the shoe care market is much bigger than the textile impregnation market for clothes and jackets. So this is something that we have had a lot of requests from our resellers. We sell to, for example, Naturkompaniet, Alevalls, Team Sporty, and this type of actors. And we have, during the last 2 years, developed our technology so it can also be used on shoes. Just when we launched this product line, we also received 2 new resellers, Stadium and Högs. Stadium is one of the largest sports resellers in Sweden, and Högs is the largest reseller of horse products in Scandinavia. And in particular, in the horse product segments, they use a lot of shoe care products for their boots and so on. So we're really looking forward to work with Högs in the coming years. And in total, this added more than 100 stores and web shops for the OrganoTex brand in April, and we started to supply them in May. Also in April, we had the first supply of OrganoWood wood protection to Canada and the USA, where we have 2 distributors that are now starting to work on the American building and paint market. So we are growing in several aspects in this segment. So what we've had to made a decision to do early this year was to invest in a completely new, fully automated production line for filling cans and bottles, which increased our capacity with a factor 3, without having to add any more people working with this, because this is completely automated from the start when you get the bottles onto the line, and it also packs the bottles on the pallets in the end. So everything is done by robots. So only the operator have to do is to pick up the pallet afterwards and get it to the warehouse. So this will really reduce the fixed cost for us for producing the products, at the same time as we're adding 3 times more production capacity. So this is one of the aspects that we are now using, also the proceeds from the directed share issue, to really automate our different production lines, which will not only create high capacity, but also will create lower production cost for us. You can change slide, Johan. Yeah, this is the new shoe care line. So it's composed by a shoe impregnation for all type of shoes, both leather shoes and also textile shoes. And then we have the leather wax, which is made for leather, of course, but and in particular for the horse boots, which is a very big market for leather wax. And these products are bio-based and biodegradable, so this is pretty unique in the market. So we're really looking forward to see that come out. And as I mentioned, this is actually a bigger market than the textile impregnation market. Can please change slide, Johan. Moving on to the industrial segments that we are working on, the non-woven and technical textiles first. Here we are supplying bio-based and biodegradable binders. And as I mentioned, we're using food waste to produce these binders, which are replacing plastic binders in non-woven materials used in products such as hygiene products like baby diapers, medical products like face masks, hair covers, surgical gowns, agricultural textiles. It can be in napkins and tabletop products. So there are a lot of segments where you're using non-woven textiles, which is something in between a textile and a paper-based material. And here, the European Union Plastic Directive that was put in place in March 2019 is affecting some of these segments, in particular with the wet wipe segment, where you need to, or let's say all producers of wet wipes are now looking to phase out the plastic binders in order to get to, so they don't need to label their products as bad for the environment. And this niche segment, the non-woven binder, is worth about 3 to 4 billion SEK per year, but it's only about 20 large corporations that is the main customers for us. So it's a quite nice market for a company like us to target. We know all these 20 companies today, and we're working with many of them. You can change the slide, Johan. This is a very early segment, an early product area for us. We have been on the market now for a few years with some niche products. So the sales have not really picked up yet. But in February, we signed our first major agreement with a leading non-woven manufacturer worth 30 million per year. It's a 5-year contract, and it will be we expect it to be fully implemented in the beginning of 2022, when they will replace all their plastic binders with our bio-based binders for their main products. We have also, since earlier, we have 2 industrial non-woven customers, of which one of them is one of the 10 largest in the world, and they have launched one niche product, but they are now really going into volume products as well. So we believe they can be adding a lot of revenue until 2022. Today we have more than 30 customer projects in various phases, lab, pilot, and production phase, and 10 projects are currently in production tests. And I would say of these 10 projects, 3 is in the maturity, so we believe that some of them can become a new major contract during 2021. I mean, if we are lucky, there can be more of them that can turn into contract. But we believe that we can at least have one major contract more in 2021. Please change slide, Johan. In our biocomposite area, where we are also replacing plastic polymers with our bio-based polymers, we work within 2 different niche segments today. We have, for example, the leading burial coffin producer in Scandinavia as one of our customers, Fredal Rydéns, why they are working with us is because they want to replace the plastic polymers or the plastic glue that you have in particle board with our biocomposite, because there is about 10 to 20% plastic polymers in particle board, which is 80% of the coffins in Scandinavia are made of particle board. So they have launched an eco coffin with our material technology. Then the second one is Baux, which is a leading supplier of acoustic panels. And they are also using today synthetic materials for their acoustic panels, but now with our technology, they have developed a completely bio-based and biodegradable acoustic panel. Can you please change slide, Johan? This is also an early segment, but we are starting to grow. This is a little bit more tricky in terms of production compared with our other segments, though. So we have seen a really high demand, in particular of the acoustic panels, but also the coffin segment is growing. But during the quarter, we have been limited due to some production technical problems in production. But we are now increasing production with more production shifts, because right now it's a matter of how much we can produce. This is the the main problem for us. So we have added extra shifts now in April, which we will be able to then, of course, supply more. But here we're also looking to automate more parts of the production, which is one of the aspects where we would use the proceeds from the directed share issue to really get more automated production of the biocomposite area. Please change slide 1. This is what it can look like when you're using the Baux's acoustic panels. This is an office space where they put the acoustic panels on this wall, and large companies are now buying these acoustic panels, and so we have a really good order book here. Now it's a matter for us to produce and supply. Please change slide, Johan. Just looking a little bit historically on our financial development, we have been growing every year since we launched our first product in 2012. Actually, every quarter except one, we have been having a positive sales growth. And now we have seen really good sales growth during the last 3 quarters with more than 30%. So this is, of course, our ambition to continue to grow in high speed. Change slide, Johan. One thing that we are focusing a lot on is the gross margin. Gross margin from variable cost, because this is really what can give us good profitability in the end. And in 2016, we were mainly selling products in the functional wood area. But after that, we have been launching products in the green coatings and maintenance area, and now also in biocomposites and non-woven segments. And they have considerably higher gross margins compared with the wood area. And our long-term target is that we will reach a gross margin of around 50%. And we have now been growing the gross margin, as you can see, with about 1 to 2% per year during the last 5 years. So we believe we can continue on this journey by changing the product mix to more value-added products. Please change slide. In terms of the operational costs, we had during the year 2017 until 2019, they were quite steady. In 2020, we decided to increase focus on sales, and we employed more people within sales, and this increased our operational costs. Now, however, the level which we have reached now, we believe we can keep that for quite some time, and growing sales also, and growing production and supply. So now we see that we don't need to add a lot of more fixed cost in order to grow sales moving forward. Please change slide, Johan. Yeah, and this is also, of course, very important in order to improve our profitability. In 2020, we had a little dip in the curve of EBITDA improvement. We had, of course, a different target. We wanted to probably reach break even in 2020. However, the first quarter where we had a quite bad growth due to the COVID situation made that we didn't grow enough for the increased operational cost that we had added. Hopefully, we can now continue the movement towards more profitable operations, and looking okay now after the first quarter where we improved the EBITDA again. Please change slide, Johan. If you're looking into 2021, we have a strong focus on penetration in Germany and Italy for OrganoWood, and of course the launch, as I mentioned, of a second generation OrganoWood technology. For OrganoTex, we are really focusing on the Nordics, but also Germany and UK, where we have in UK we have a good distributor that is now working towards the outdoor and sports goods retailers. In Germany, we are aiming to find a good distributor during the year. The OrganoWood wood protection launch in US and Canada is, of course, a major part of our focus this year. This is a huge market. We now have good distribution partners. So this is something where we're really looking forward to see how the sales develop during the next couple of years. A non-woven biobinder customer development project is, of course, very important for us. And this is the area where we really believe we can take big jumps in revenue growth during the coming years. And not the least, we are now really working on building up more production capacity with a high focus on automation. And part of the capital that we raised will be to improve our processes in our current production facility. As I mentioned, we are working with an automated production line for filling cans and bottles, but we are also investing in a completely new production line for non-woven binders. We are a non-woven production line that has a capacity of 10,000 tons per year, which will double our production capacity in the current facility. And this line will also be completely automated, so it will require extremely little labor for producing our binders, which will reduce our fixed cost for production for the volume that we can produce. However, one part of the capital that we have raised will be now we're starting to look at building a new production facility, a second production facility, because the volumes in the non-woven binder segment is so big. So if we shall be able to be a real player within this segment, we need to set up a new production facility. We believe this will be also in Sweden, not in the Stockholm area though, more in an area where you have more industrial history and maybe also lower cost. But this is a project that we have started, and we hope that we can get out with more information regarding that during this year. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mårten. So we have time for one question, and I want to talk a little bit more about the non-woven segment. And you mentioned the target about at least one new sort of commercial announcement about a new deal this year, with 3 being closer than the other 10 plus. Is it possible to talk a bit about the volumes, maybe on all the production tests in total, but also maybe if it's possible to get a ballpark number about these 3 that are a bit closer, so to say?
Well, yeah, as I've been saying before, most of these projects are targeting products which could generate for us in between 10 to 40 or 50 million SEK per customer project. So the average would be somewhere around 20-30 million SEK per project. Yeah, the ones that we are looking at right now are in that range. So that is about the range where we see most of the volume products in the non-woven segments. So that is also, of course, if you look at these 10 plus projects, that would be several 100 million crowns of project value. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I want to thank you, Mårten, for presenting today, and everybody for listening in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.